All right, Predator Badlands, Predator Face. Let's talk about this as in an actual talk. So 4 years ago, I made my video nitpicking my frustrations with the portrayal of the Predator's face in all of the iterations of the Predator ever since the first movie. I've always thought there was a specific biological function to the mandibles on the Predator's face based on the original, based on Stan Winston's original puppet. Two's very, very close to what that high standard I hold it to, but then Alien vs. Predator onwards, the face has never lived up to the standard of the original as far as I'm concerned. And I broke down a video on why I think so, and it has to do with the mandibles. Obviously, I made that video way before Prey came out, or when Prey was announced, so I didn't know what that new Predator looked like yet, so I had nothing to comment. Does it still hold up to the standard I hold from the original Predator based on what I said in that original video? The Prey Predator, I didn't like it. Now, I don't want to just say that because I had a whole experience with that film. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. After The Predator came out, I completely thought that this franchise was never going to see the light of day ever again. I thought after Predators, there was just no real online interest in a continuation of the Predator franchise. And for some reason, The Predator had like all these things going for it right before it came out, with like Shane Black returning. Fox is now chucking all this money at it. It's like, it's a new Predator. It's a new big Predator. And then I saw it, and it was just very evident that it was in the big hype of comic book movies taking over cinema, and then them just being like, what other properties can we now pluck and give it that big superhero spectacle of like, we have small predators, big predators, and we have robot suits, and we have predator dogs, and all of a sudden it's this big expansion all at once while having this very flighty, just kind of non-tone that it doesn't really match anything from the first two. The original Alien vs. Predators aren't really anything to go off of, but The Predator was such a mess, and it just cosmetically did not feel like it matched that franchise at all. And I just completely thought that was the nail in the coffin for the franchise. I didn't actually expect anything to ever come from that again. I thought it's just going to be one of those things that people prefer it being an 80s film, and if it can't be an 80s film again in the way that original was, no one will ever accept it. And then the trailer for Prey came out, and I was like, wow, I can't believe, first of all, that there's a new entry in this franchise, and second, I couldn't believe how serious it was, and I couldn't believe how like it was this fresh idea, not like trying to connect to the original with nostalgia. It's trying not to find somewhere in between the continuity to fit, and it's not trying to rewrite everything, you know. For some reason, Prey, from the trailers and then even while sitting and watching it, it just felt like whoever made this loves Predator, but something that I really appreciate is whoever made this clearly loves Predator 2. Now, with Predator 2, there is this kind of internet opinion of it that I don't like, where anytime I hear someone talk about the Predator franchise, it's always, yes, the original is the perfect classic and it can't be different, it can't be changed, that's what established everything. But anytime someone wants to mention Predator 2, it's always like, hey, I like what they were going for and I like the lore they established. But anyway, Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2 suck and blah, 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 Predators, blah, blah. And I actually kind of don't like how much Predator 2 gets passed over, like outside of just what it establishes at the end and kind of sprinkled throughout the movie of the Predator lore itself. That movie is still like kick-ass. Like, it's a great Danny Glover action movie, and it's still like, I like to assume that Bill Paxton's character is actually a part of some big family tree from both Aliens and Terminator. Also, that movie was made 100% with cocaine. You can feel it. That's why everyone's sweaty in that film. And then you get to Prey, and it's like the second it started, it just felt like whoever made this really cared about this property, but they still wanted to see something interesting established in it. They wanted to see it taken in a fresh direction, and it was taken in a direction of something that I really, really appreciated, which I never thought this franchise would ever be, was serious. Like, Prey had such a great serious tone from the start, and it's like, not calling it Predator, we're not having the Alan Silvestri score start blaring at the start, we're not having any pop songs. It established this idea of, how about instead of a direct sequel that has to kind of connect stuff, why don't we just take Predator as the concept and just look at a different point in history that the Predator came across humans. It also took like a new approach to showing off a Predator. Now, the annoying thing that usually comes with sequels is how you one up per sequel. So whatever they establish in the first movie, you get to the second one, and this is why I still always hold the second one as the second best Predator, because what it adds, all of it feels right. Nothing in Predator 2 really like goes against anything set in the first one, where you like, you know, you get the shrinking net gun, you get the telescoping spear, and you get all the different vision modes in the helmet. Also, the Predator itself in Prey literally does what the original does, where we don't see the face at all the way until the end, or the kind of big reveal moment. From the get-go, I was like, oh yeah, it's a bit different. All the hair tendrils like much thinner, and there's much more of them. He's not wearing the fishnets anymore. All the armor doesn't really look the same. But then through literal visual storytelling, without like these characters having to say these things, it's all explained through subtlety. As then it slowly starts to reveal to you that, yes, this is 300 years ago. Therefore, the Predator technology itself is actually more primitive than what you know it as. So it starts doing the risk gauntlet, and you're like, I know where this is going. It's the big nuclear explosion, but why is he activating it now? It doesn't feel that desperate. But then it's like, no, it's just like this weirder, simpler little bomb thing with laser robot things that fly up. And then it turns out the 3 laser scope is actually not for the shoulder cannon anymore. It actually shoots like these 3 little metal spears that lock onto wherever it is. So we're not even at the laser gun yet. And I really loved the idea of what the helmet was, of infusing technology with like a skull of something it's already hunted in the past. But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm noticing that the mandibles are actually exposed the whole time, because usually like the Predator helmets always just cover that section up, and you can always see this molded with little grooves of where their mandibles slot in. But this was kind of interesting, where it's just a small front part that like fans up, but the mandibles hang out the side. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, based on my nitpick of what the mandibles do, I don't think they're going to line up when it takes the helmet off. It does the big moment where it turns around, reveals its face, and like lets out a roar. And my initial reaction was, that doesn't look like anything. It was so just strange. Like the eyes have now been like pushed to the sides, and like these mandibles are like way tucked up the back. But then despite my reaction to that, I was kind of just like, by that point, the movie had already won me over. So I was still like just invested with where it was going. And I was so excited for like where it was going that I kind of looked at the face and I was like, whatever. Let's just see where this goes. I'm not even gonna, I'll just have to accept it. And he puts the helmet back on. You're like, oh yeah, fair enough. Hide that ugly mug. So to explain what my nitpick is of the Predator face, the way I see it in the original is the Predator has no lips. It's just exposed fangs, and then that kind of tucks up to the mandible, and it has no bottom teeth, so it's just an exposed jaw. When you look at the Predator, when it first takes the helmet off, all of it's closed up, and you can actually see all the skin and the cheeks tuck in where it should be. The bottom mandibles close up at the front, and the 2 top close over top of that. So it all still shut, because I'm not looking at this as like a fan of the franchise. I'm looking at this as an interesting biological design of an alien creature that Stan Winston cooked up. And so in my older video, I did a breakdown of every single Predator ever since basically the second one. As I said before, the second one is the closest to the function that I believe should always be in place with the mouth. What I noticed was, in the original, the Predator's mouth, when it was molded to be closed. So when you fit all the animatronics into the mandibles open up, and therefore the latex cheek skin, say that 5 times fast, when that stretches up, the skin stretches naturally, but when the animatronic closes again, all the skin folds back in where it's naturally meant to go. And you can see it every time the Predator in the first one just makes these little facial gestures. You can see the skin all closes up naturally. Then you get to Alien vs. Predator, and you can see behind the scenes that the mouth was molded to be completely open and screaming. So they molded that way. So when they close the mandibles, all that skin buckles and folds on itself. Once I realized that, every time I'd rewatch a Predator movie and they take the helmet off, it's just this thing I cannot ever unsee. And I look straight at it. It's one of those things that you just cannot miss. It's just like all this skin's just like flapped up the side. So you can see this prominently in the Alien vs. Predator face, where the jaw is so square and pronounced that it actually looks like Robert Z'Dar. But the mandibles all kind of tuck around the edge instead of being at the front. So the Predator always, if you look at it on profile, all the mandibles jut out forwards. So he should have like an underbite kind of snout based on where these things close up. Every sequel, the mandibles just get pushed more to the side. I think that this is just a misconception every time new people make a Predator head. Is when you look at the comics and you look at any screenshot of the Predator, it's always the mouth's just open. So they see that and they're like, oh, it just tucks out, I guess. They're just an ugly monster forever. But then you look at the original, great expression in that animatronic puppet, as well as Kevin Peter Hall's beautiful eyes. It's clearly like it's pondering stuff. It just clicks things, and it's never like, it never makes the bottom ones move too crazy. It's always just the top one. But then you get to the Predators and Predators, and that was an example where they actually try to make that animatronic really look like the first movie Predator. And that's kind of where it's the worst culprit, is because then they did that whole method again with the mandibles. They molded them open, so when they close, the cheeks all fold and buckle. And it's very distracting. So when I did my Photoshop fix of that, and it actually looks exactly like the original Predator, when you really tighten up all that stuff. And then you get to the Predator, like it just looks like a Halloween decoration. It's all of the mandible, all the skin, all that molding. It all just felt like an afterthought because you're not going to be seeing this thing for long. But then you get to Prey, and what I kind of realized immediately is, despite me not liking that design at all, to the point where every time I think of Prey, I actually forget that that's what it looks like, because I'm always just so used to that cool looking helmet that I never actually remember what the real face is. But this is now establishing a new thing where they're going to go full CGI face replacement. Now, they did make an animatronic head on the set, as you can see, which did look pretty good. But now they're doing a CGI replacement on top of the animatronics. So they're making sure to match the lighting and the movements enough based on the head movement, but they can really control the actual flesh and muscles. Now, I need to say this. My nitpicks with the other ones are based on the animatronics being cheap. There is something different about a CGI Predator face. Now, the one in Prey was way more effort than the Predator. That, as in the big one. Like, that one just, I don't know. It's just like they just went, let's make a big Predator that has magic powers that can just grow armor because science, or on their planet or something. With Prey, I noticed there is actually a top lip now where the Predators just, like, they have that top lip, but it's never established that the Predators can actually have a closed duck mouth. Like, I just thought of what that would look like. And now you can too. Here it is. But they drew in a top lip, and I noticed that the bottom mandible's kind of tucked down in a V formation now. So they've added a top lip, but then it does the V. I was like, I feel like there's, even though I don't like what this design is, I feel like more thought went into that than the actual animatronics that I've had problems with of every other previous Predator movie. I actually followed the artist who designed it on Instagram, Michael Vincent, not to be confused with Jan Michael Vincent. And apparently they had this big breakdown of why the Predator looks like that, and they actually gave its mouth a biological function. The reason why the forehead's different, the eyes are stuck to the side. They say that this is like a feral ancestor version of the species from Predator 2. I don't know how they're going to explain that, but that explains why the dreads are different. That explains, like, it's some kind of pre-evolution to that within 200 years, maybe. I don't know if they're like genetic experiments, or I don't know if this is an actual like biological evolution, because they didn't show any other predators in Prey. But the way they said the mouth works is on Predator World, this is some species that lives on a region where they used to eating bones a lot. So the jaw is constructed to be strong enough that they can chew bones, like an alligator or something. Like that gets a bone-crushing mouth. And reading that, I was like, well, that's kind of fascinating. So the audience can't know that. So I don't know that. So therefore I can't like be like, well, that's an interesting idea. Therefore I liked the design. So unfortunately, like, cool, but it's just not in the film. So therefore it looks drastically different to what we know the Predator as. Then Predator Badlands trailer drops. Now, the whole internet has been screeching about this film that I really just don't understand, because a big reason why I quit YouTube for 2 years is because the negative discourse on the internet is now just becoming so strange to be around. The fact that my social medias are just getting flooded by this pathetic war over the Superman costumes, and a big trepidation as to why I didn't want to talk about this film until it was out, because I'm kind of sick of trailer speculation, especially a teaser. Like, people have made their minds up about this film way too early, it feels to me, like to a kind of irrational level. Predator Badlands feels like what I've been wanting ever since I was a child. I grew up in an era where there was just Predator 1 and 2, and I got to watch them continue that franchise as I was basically a teenager. Now, I have this whole preconception of the Predator in the first movie as not a movie monster, not some vicious hunter from another planet. I literally just see it as another dude. It's just another guy in the film. The whole time it's this mysterious, invisible creature, then you see more and it's like this weird, scary looking thing. Yes, it takes the helmet off and it's like the most terrifying thing you've ever seen in your life. But as the entire showdown keeps playing out with Arnold, there is just not the same vibe as movie monster that the whole film prior had. You literally zero in on this is just a guy that is now toying with Arnold. Like, he's from his own civilized planet. But look at him with his technology and his intergalactic space travel. Like, this is just like another guy from another world who just loves going to other planets and hunting weaker species with his unfair technology.
Come on, come on. Kill me, I'm here, kill me! I'm here, kill me!
And there are so many moments where the Predator and Arnold are literally just two people like trying to survive each other. But they're just in, like, they're both sitting in this moment. It felt like a person.
What the hell are you?
The ending of Predator 2 is the same thing, where it's just two guys fighting on a ship, but once the rest of the Predators and the Elders show up, the whole monster thing has gone out the window. Now you're just sitting in...
Okay, who's next?
Alright, there's a whole bunch of weirdos from another planet. I don't know if they're going to kill me or not. Oh, they're taking their friend away. Oh, he's giving me this old gun. Cool.
Take it.
Then you get to Alien vs. Predator, and it's by that point, it just feels like product man. It just feels like a pop cultural monster. Slap them on a package, you can sell toys. Alien vs. Predator Requiem just gets this strange pass because they're like, what do we do with the Predator this time? What if we make him like Harvey Keitel from Pulp Fiction? Yes, you're not really losing with that formula. So, Alien vs. Predator Requiem is actually one of my favorite portrayals of the Predator since 2, and that skips over Predators and Alien vs. Predator. Now, Predators is a movie that I have tried and tried and tried to like. I really like what it is in concept. What a great idea. Let's just kidnap a bunch of the top predators from Earth and we'll stick them on a nature reserve planet that's not their environment, that still kind of looks like a jungle on their planet anyway. And it's 3 predators that are teamed up and there's this whole scheme going on. But in execution, the movie itself just feels like a synthetic fan film, to the point where, yes, I admitted I liked Alien Romulus, and I don't really feel shame about that just because I saw it as just, it does for Predator fans what Predators does. I just think it got Alien more right than Predators did Predator. And talk about Predator designs that I don't like. I especially do not like the bigger Predator. The head, it just looks like this big octopus nutsack with like spider gremlin legs growing out of the front that are so long that it's like having an arm sprouting out of your face. Now I have to admit something. In my original video, I need to correct something. I kept referring to those predators as alpha predators because all I was going off of memories in the film Lawrence Fishburne, who is actually my favorite part of Predators. He's a character that actually feels like he would be in the original. He referred to them as like dogs and wolves or something, and I was just like, oh yeah, alpha, so they're like the alpha predators, so the wolves to the dogs. They're not called alpha predators, as I've been yelled at many, many times over the past few years. The comments just keep flooding in. They are not alpha predators. They're called super predators. They're called super duper predators. I don't know if they called them that in the film or not. It's just so funny being corrected by something, and it turns out the term was dumber than what you remembered. It's like, all right, I don't like the super predators. And I think The Predator has such an identity crisis in itself that, like, I don't really think about that movie at all. I've seen it twice, but like, I just do not count it. And as I said earlier, I thought that's what killed the franchise. But anyway, my overall point before that tangent, ever since the first movie, I always just saw so much more potential in the Predator character at the end, based on just like how human it just becomes when it's just him and Arnold left. And I was always like, I just want to see a movie where the Predator is the main character, and like, can they even do that? Could you even have an animatronic head character for the entirety where it's like, it's not just helmet? Because by that point, the Predator would have to be so relatable to the audience that you just can't have them in the mask the whole time, and it's not really going to work. And if they tried it, then since Predator can't emote like a human can, it would just get into like Power Ranger territory with like so many head turns. There's actually a moment in Prey where she's got it trapped and it looks over and realizes it's been caught, and the stunt guy does the head tilt, and I'm like, like the mask was off. You could have just had like, could we have not had like a more subtle like realization? But I was always like, can they do that? Would they do that? I don't think they're ever going to do that. I don't think in my lifetime they're ever going to even bother to do that. And then they've done that, and we're going to see that in a couple of months. And I remember when the Predator Badlands concept got released, and they were like, the Predator will be the protagonist this time. And I'm like, interesting. I'm like, I don't know what this movie is. I never thought this is what a Predator film would ever look like. And it feels so serious. It feels like it's taken so serious, which is very interesting to me. Now, the whole trailer comes and goes, and you see bits of the Predator, and I'm like, okay, so then this one might not actually wear the helmet from a majority of this. Let's see how this keeps playing out. Then that moment happens where the giant monster is jumping around, it stops, and then it dollies up to the Predator. And the second I saw the face, my reaction was like, they got it wrong again. I was like, the mandibles droop down like walrus tusks and the bottom ones sag down. They just still don't know what I know. The mouth goes dry if it don't shut. But then I did this other thing where I reserved my right as an Australian to not give a flying f***. I think I was disappointed for a microsecond, and then the trailer ended. I'm like, oh, this is going to be sick. The second I was disappointed by the mandibles, I looked at another feature of the face. And it ain't the feature that everyone thinks I'm about to mention. It's these. I saw an intensity in the Predator's eyes, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a character. This is going to be a guy. You'll see it in the eyes. And so I was like, all right, they stuffed the mandibles up, but whatever. This movie itself, I just can't fathom that someone had the balls to make the Predator the main character. And like, I still can't believe that this is being made. And I can't believe this is being made so seriously. That being said, ever since this dropped, my video has just been flooded with talk about the face, talk about the face, talk about the face. I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, we finally ready to have the serious talk about the biological function of the Predator's face. It's like, where the f*** have all you been for the past 4 years? But the reaction to why other people hate the Predator face is just not what my problem is. Because now I just know what the reaction's always going to be based on the second you say one word, the internet takes that like piranhas and just and comes up with their own conclusion. So I actually have no problem with the Predator's skin texture, and I actually have no problem with the hair being done up. Because, truth be told, I like to draw the Predator a lot. And I actually drew a Predator once that, weirdly enough, has the same forehead skin texture as this one. I don't know if they're ripping me off or not. But I, in the past, have drawn the Predator's hair up in a bun like that. And now, I'm not one of those people that goes, and actually in the comic books, because one of the things I hate about like the Wikipedia nerd response to all this stuff is like, I do not care about what's in a comic book or what's in a video game or any novelization or whatever. If it's not in the movie, then I don't count it. I don't care. But I have seen even the Predator comics have drawn the hair up like that. Exactly like what this movie's putting forward. The amount of comments I've seen that's saying like girl boss, woke, woman, it's a female predator, inclusionary diversity, and they immediately come out and say that it's a guy, it's a dude. This predator is a guy. The information's already out there, but people have locked into this being a woman predator. So I don't know what to say. I was just going to talk about how the face isn't proper with the mandibles, but everyone's just like photoshopping Michelle Obama and Whoopi Goldberg onto this thing and trying to make some political thing out of it. Everyone's probably hoping that's what I'm going to talk about, but I honestly don't care about everything outside of the face. Like, my opinion, they stuff the mouth up. Anytime someone says there's different subspecies within this species, like how we have ethnicities on this planet. I saw this predator, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Like, that's how I see the one from Prey. I don't like their faces. They don't link up to my high standards of the original. But I'm like, but I don't care. So I'm not angry over it. I'm not losing my mind. And as I said, I am genuinely excited for this new movie because it's just, I don't care about this. I don't care about this anymore. I care about this actually being a character that you actually have to like feel empathy for. And I am just so fascinated with how they're going to do it. So I've mentioned the function of how the mandibles close, but in the original, the amount of times the predator has a little moment where it makes a vocalization or something, it still stays closed and just does these numbers. It just does little clicks with the top ones. Is this movie going to do that? I kind of don't think so. I feel like it's just going to talk normally and these will just whatever. See, once again, I'm anticipating not liking how the mouth's going to work. I'm just all for what Dan Trachtenberg's doing with this franchise. It's just like, yeah, as I said, I just thought Predator was never going to continue after The Predator. And the fact that like he had this concept before that movie came out for Prey, like the one set with Comanche Native Americans and set 300 years ago. But they were like, nah, Shane's coming back. We're doing that one instead. And he was like, oh, hopefully maybe after that one we can have like spin-offs. But it turns out that one flopped. So they were like, all right, we definitely need more Predator that's not that one. But I just find it kind of fascinating that this dude kind of just looked at this franchise and was just like, well, no one's really doing anything with it. Could I possibly do something? And finally gets Prey made. And it just seems like now he's just like locked into this being his career for a while. And so they announced shortly after that the next Predator movie in development will not be a sequel to Prey. There's going to be this other thing called Predator Badlands. And at first I was like, not a sequel to Prey? Prey established this thing that turns out fans didn't know they wanted until they saw it, where it's like Predator in different times. After Prey came out, suddenly everyone's imagination was sparked. It's like, oh, I want to see Predator versus samurai warriors. I want to see Predator versus pirates. But then they released the pitch for what Badlands was, and it's like, it's set in the future. It's set very far in the future. I'm like, so we just went from 300 years ago to all the way to, I don't even know where or when. But then before this movie comes out, he drops a trailer for an animated Predator anthology film or series. I can't remember which. I think it's a film. And it's just that concept that turns out everyone wanted. It is Predator versus samurai. It's Predator in World War One, and it's Predator versus Vikings, I think. And then it gets to Badlands, and it's like, all right, we've got 3 new Predator entries into this revamp, and they're all doing this concept of Predator over the eras. And this is the thing, like, I didn't want to come on the internet and be like throw any judgment out, but what I want to kind of do is I just want to put out food for thought. Everyone's jumping on Disney ruining this new one, but I don't think we're living in an internet culture anymore, especially with film discussion, where people actually want to like talk about the real behind the scenes or filmmaking in general. Everyone just wants to pick their easiest conglomerate to blame, and everyone's kind of jumping on Disney. But I think people are going to need to like look more into like this Dan Trachtenberg. Like, I've watched so many interviews, and I even watched the Prey commentary track, and it's like, it's clearly people involved that love this franchise and property. And I just feel like the anger shown to this new one and how reactionary it's been, I just feel like it is just so irrational, because like no one's even saying anything about the film itself. They just pick that screenshot, they want to cry woke, and then that's their personality, and that's how they're going to see this film. And I just feel like literally until it's out, give it a go until it's out. But to answer all your questions, I don't like the new face. I don't like Prey's face. So we all agree. We all agree, right? Because I just still can't fathom that this is the one everyone decides to hate, and not either Prey or Predators. I did a fix of this one, and to me, literally the thing that gets it close enough to the original that satisfies me was bring the mandibles up and closed a bit more and just fatten the head a bit. You just fatten the head. I'm fine with this mohawk thing. If he lets those dreads out, then it's going to clearly cascade down like it's meant to. Because the thing, I know what I'm nitpicking, and I know what I want to fight and argue about, and this is just not the kind of discourse I want to really be involved in, because it's just not interesting to me. And I'm just so used to having these discussions where someone is just so wrong, but you just have to like let them play out the motions because you actually don't care about what their opinion is. So I remember when I was still living at home 50 years ago, I was watching the original Hellboy, and my dad walked in and he watched it for 10 seconds and he's like, "Oh gee, you watched some rot." I was just like, "Yeah, thanks." Then he looks at Hellboy for like a few more seconds. He goes, "That's Ted Danson." I'm like, "No, it's not Ted Danson." He's like, "I'm telling you, that's Ted Danson. You can hear it in the voice." I'm like, "No, it's this actor called Ron Perlman." I get my phone out and I show it to him, and he's just like, no, that guy is Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. That is Ted Danson. And I'm like, no, Harry from Harry and the Hendersons is an 8-foot-tall black dude called Kevin Peter Hall, and he played the Predator. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, that is Ted Danson. So my dad doesn't think that Harry from Harry and the Hendersons is an animatronic head on top of another actor. He thinks that's just Ron Perlman. They just glued hair to his face. So I'm used to these discussions and I don't partake no more. All right, I probably said enough, and I actually feel stupid for saying this amount about this subject, and it's all based on 10 seconds of a trailer. At least just wait till it's out. That's what I'm doing. That's why I don't want to speculate too much. I don't want to delve too much into every Easter egg. I don't really want anything spoiled because it just looks so different. As a whole new film, it just looks so weird and strange and unexpected. Like, Prey feels very safe enough to be the original Predator and like its template, but Badlands, I'm like, show me what you got. All right, thanks for watching. I hope I provided some kind of insight that was of use. I probably didn't. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Whenever the hell, or whatever the hell that's going to be.